lie. Welcome to the Players Lounge.
Ute fans, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Postgame Reaction. It was not a top 25 matchup over the weekend. I mean, Arizona State was in, Utah wasn't. Well, after this weekend, guys, Utah's headed for another top 25 matchup. That was quite the domination, 42-10 victory. Obviously, Arizona State didn't have their quarterback in there, being Sam Leavitt. But the beauty of it is that you guys get to talk about it. Sam Leavitt also does not play defense. So, want to welcome in my guys, Derek Tuimauga, Zack Moss. Calbeck is in the remote mountains of Utah with very little reception, so we told him to enjoy the family. But guys, how we feeling?
Real good. Real good. Yeah, you always feel real good after a big time W like that. Got a little rained out a little bit at the beginning, but things shaping up real good at the end of that.
Yeah, it was really cool to see just how well the team handled it. It's not easy to walk into that big of a rainstorm. I don't think we've had. I mean, the water was literally pooling on the ground. That was kind of crazy to see.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was cool just how the team handled adversity. We'll kind of get into it a little bit more, but overall, I was really impressed by how the team came out, handled business. They could have let the Sam Leavitt, benching kind of
not benching, right?
Oh, sorry, being out, kind of breaking down or change mood or the weather or whatever have you. They could have came out flat for a number of different reasons. It wasn't packed when the game started, so excited to jump into it. But overall, really excited coming off that kind of a game.
Before you guys kick into just kind of analyzing the game and everything, Derek, I'm trying to remember way back if Utah would have had any games delayed when you were up there. I think the Michigan game was after you, but Zach, I know that you had the BYU game, and I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit on this. So what kind of goes through you guys' heads when something like this is going on? And like this one was kind of unique where it was even before the game, right? So luckily for the guys, they didn't have any, start and stop and start again. Yeah. But still, it was unique because they're sending out updates, and the game's supposed to start at 8:15, and at one point they sent out an update saying that the pregame activities, the pregame warmups were delayed, and they weren't going to have an update on even when that could start until 7:50.
Yeah, it definitely was interesting beginning to the game, just because like you said, the guys don't know, you're used to just having that routine of one doing the Ute walk, right? That got canceled, right? And that'll throw you off just a little bit because that's a good time to just chill, take a quick little walk, do your thing, whatever. And having that, missing that, and then you having just your routine of how you go out and prepare to get warmed up for this type of game. It's colder, so maybe you need to do a little bit more and whatever that might be, right? And not having an opportunity to do that you would assume, like they were saying, these guys had a lot of reasons to come out flat. And I know it was one thing that I was harping on was I want to see them come out fast. So if they didn't come out fast last night, you would have been like, okay, a lot of things kind of make sense. When we played that game versus BYU, we got all the way into I think the third quarter ended or something like that, and we just came back out in fourth. That's a lot easier to. You've already played the game. The game is technically over. You got a quarter left, right? So mentally is a totally different way to just go ahead and get ready for the last quarter versus these dudes, couldn't really do anything. And then just now you say, okay, just go play 60 minutes of ball in soaking wet weather. Also let it be cold at the same time. So props to those guys, props to the coach staff and the weight room staff on getting these guys ready and keeping these guys ready. I mean, you talk about guys looking fresh, they look fresh, specifically Dampier. I mean, I was on the sidelines a few times, and everybody was just like, man, he's in one of those modes today. Like he was just, I think he felt really, really good in his body. And seeing those guys come out the way they did, starting fast throughout all the little different adversity that came with the weather and stuff like that. And they just dominated, man. They were on a mission to come out and get things done. And it was really, really good to see. And you could tell they were super prepared and ready to go for this one.
How difficult is Utah to beat when Dampier is in that mode, and also that mode being healthy?
I mean, the dude threw the ball 12 times and you win 42-10, right? Like that's complimentary football. Like, and when I talked about it last week, it's just like it's hard sometimes when you come out of a bye week to try to ask for complimentary football when it comes from offense, defense, and special teams, right? Mm-hmm. And we got contributions every single where, right? Defense played lights out, right? They didn't flinch at, the backup quarterback coming in and what he presented, right? Because you didn't get prepared for that guy essentially all week until the last couple of days, right? But they didn't flinch on that. The game plan was spectacular. Beck's game plan was spectacular, but those are things that you also love to see because they were really, really locked in. Like the offense and the defense, specifically for myself, offense, like they knew exactly what they wanted to attack. It wasn't no question on what they were going to do. It was, this is how we're going to attack this defense. This is what they struggle with, and the guys came out there. I mean, Dampier has so many quarterback design runs right off of the counter action at the sweep action from the back at the same time. They knew, okay, we're going to stretch these dudes on these edges. Like these are the dudes that we want to get after. And to see the way the receivers blocked downfield was another thing. Like that was also just a picture perfect moment to see those dudes going out there and training and giving effort, because that doesn't take anything, man. Like you can easily, like I've played with guys that not blocking 15, 20 yards down the field and actually finishing the block. And I've played with guys that do. And like, you don't respect nothing more out of a receiver, because catching the ball, that's the number one job, right? Like that's a given, right? And Derek probably can understand me when I say this. Like when you have a back that can block with the offensive line and like actually cares outside of just running the ball, right? Like the offensive line take even more of a liking of that person, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like it's the same thing for backs. When we got receivers blocking downfield to spring us for like an extra 5, 10 yards, whatever it may be, like Rodgers just touchdown. Like if Davis isn't making that block, man, like if he just looks back, like he just takes the play off and just looks back, he maybe gets down at the 5. I mean, maybe he still scores because he's a really good back, but maybe he gets down at the 5. And then you're watching film. I'm watching film. I'm watching that. I'm like, oh, come on, bro. Like in my head, right? But it's like those are the type of blocks. That's like championship caliber stuff that you really want to look for. And when the coaches go into the meetings and they watch this game tomorrow, whenever they watch it, right? Like that's going to be a highlight, right? Rodgers 22-yard touchdown. That's awesome. That's great. But none of that stuff is made besides I come from the offensive line and the receivers blocking down the field. And that just makes everybody, right? That just makes all 11 guys want to go and do something like that. And, that's where, because it's going to take everybody on this offense. You've had a lot of injuries, right? And guys doing stuff like that, that's a really, really big thing to see.
Zach, you talked about a game plan, and I noticed as well with Coach Beck implementing this attacking the edges, using these designated runs to really take advantage of Dampier's talent and ability. Curious your thoughts, because something that clicked in my mind was, damn, this is really close to what our game plan was going against Texas Tech. But to me, you hit it nail on the head. I'd love your perspective. We tried getting to the edges. However, credit to Texas Tech and what they did. Somebody from Texas Tech is going to watch this. But what also the difference that you pointed out is that our wide receivers this game were dominant on the edge, getting the blocks and springing those, couple yard gains to big chunk plays. Curious if you saw the same thing. Alex, would love your guys' perspective, because to me, I saw a lot of that, like, oh, we're not changing anything up. Zach, you've alluded to this in prior conversations. We're not just reinventing. Beck's not going to reinvent the wheel at this point in the season. I saw a lot of the very same things that we've been trying to do all year. Now the execution level coming off this bye week was just exactly where it needed to be.
Before Zach chimes in on that, something that Whittingham said, and yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Utah has not deviated from their game plan, even with losing to Texas Tech. What Whittingham flat out said is just like, look, he's like, we haven't gone away from our bread and butter. We know what works. We're healthy.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thought for the rest of the Big 12, but at the same time too, it's also a scary thought on like, okay, when this one little thing goes wrong from a health standpoint, this is where we're at too. But yeah, no, you're exactly right. It's crazy that Utah is just they know what works. They stuck with it, and it's showing. And they just did that against a really good defense. I mean, ASU's defense, and especially just from a straight up run defense standpoint, they were highly regarded. But Utah found their weaknesses.
Yeah. I mean, when you could rush for over 207 yards, right? Like, and we talked about that being our strength over ASU, like how efficient we are at running the ball, right? Like we have different ways to attack the run game, and it showed up in a lot of different ways. But to your point, Derek, like, yeah, like I think this week mentally and physically things lined up perfectly, right? Like having that extra week of getting ready for this game, right? And guys, like those walkthroughs, people don't understand, like, when as a player, I've always felt like walkthroughs allowed me to see things even better because I'm not thinking, okay, how does my body feel in practice when we're trying to get this full speed rep, right? Even though you need it, it's like, okay, but now when I'm walking through it, and you can walk through it more than once, right? Nothing we hate more than as players is like running this play back because somebody messed it up, right? Like, but it's a walkthrough. Cool. Coach want to walk it back 3 times. Like, let's do it. Right. But like, so I think like that was big. It's like, it's having that bye week, coming off that bye week and seeing how the guys treated it. Right. Like I talked about, like, how were they going to come out? Because that sometimes is very easy for you to just take the bye week, especially with injuries, and kind of just get lackadaisical as a player, right? Like the coaching staff, I was never worried about. I always knew that these guys was going to be ready to go. Like that's just a coach with led staff. Like coming out of the bye week, you don't really have, busted coverages and, MAs and all these different type of things, right? Like the guys going to be in the position to make plays. Now it's up to them to do that. And the tackling was really good still, which is always good to see coming out of a bye week. Like people just don't understand, like when you get a bye week, it's not hard, but it's challenging to come back that next week and now go play football at full speed, especially when you have a team like Arizona State coming in, they haven't had a week off, right? Like they're still in their routine of things and things of that nature. But this week was just perfect when it comes to, clashing the mental aspect of the game and the physical aspect of the game because, and you could just see it, you could feel it. Guys were locked in, the energy was there. They brought their own energy at the same time. Like even though the rain happened, right, our fans were still in the stadium, packed it out. The must was still loud and all those type of things. Like we still had a very, very good environment for a night game. But those guys also brought their own juice. Like it didn't need to be, manufactured in the second quarter, something like that. Like these guys got off to a fast start real fast. Like, I mean, before I even could sit down, things was rolling and guys, the ball was moving up and down that field. So it was really, really good to see. Dampier played really well. I think they split the carries again with the backs, like we talked about, like just the way that workload is going to happen. But it is also scary, like you said, Alex, like to the point where, all right, like if Dampier is nicked a little bit, right, just anything lower body nicking, like how does that change? Because at the same time, yeah, you only threw the ball 12 times, so it was a super small sample size to see what this passing game was going to continue to look like. And like I said, like it's not going to be any different. Like these guys, who these guys are when it comes to the passing game, like it is what it is. Like Dampier is not going to become, a Patrick Mahomes style type quarterback in the sense of making deep throws consistently down the field and, all that type of stuff. Like it's just not going to happen this year, right?
Bird threw the best pass of the game.
Yeah, like some of these things just is what it is right now. But obviously, hopefully, we don't have to have any nicks on offense anymore. Like, hopefully, all those little injury bugs that we had early on, those are done,
They're
right?
due for injury luck.
Yeah, like now it's time for these guys to stay super healthy and just make that back end run. Now it's time to go play your best ball you can possibly go play, and you've seen the looks. Like now it's like this is when good teams go on runs. So you had the early bye week, get it out of the way, and now it's time to really just lock in and just go do what they got to go do.
Talking about the injuries and stuff like that, want to kind of flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. Defensive tackles have been beat up a little bit, but they've been making it work. So really kind of curious Derek's take on that in a minute. The other area, Jackson Benny was more just a tweak against West Virginia. Thank goodness, right? Because Richie's definitely, we can't go into detail, but Richie's going to be out a while. Benny slots back into the safety spot that he was playing in spring ball. They moved him over to nickelback to get him on the field. He's just that talented. Goes to safety, does well, and so really kind of curious you guys' take on just what you guys felt with the secondary and the defensive line. But those guys came in clutch. One thing I want to point out, when we were doing our over unders, and I said over under on 4 sacks, guys, Utah got 5 and 7 tackles for loss, right? And at that time I knew 4 was going to be high, but at the same time too, it's always kind of fun raising those bars a little bit on what we think they can get, just knowing that it's a bigger game. They're going to come in juiced.
Yeah.
And the fact that, hey, John Henry Daly is not the leader in sacks in the nation after this week. He's not even the leader in the conference. There's a Texas Tech guy that has had a hell of a couple weeks, but he's still right up there. He's 0.5 behind him. He's got 8 sacks on the year. So that's a big deal. It's that defense looked solid, and like I said at the start, Utah wins this game regardless. Sam Leavitt doesn't play defense, and they put up 42 points.
Yeah. I mean, our offense plays defense enough, and that's the part where that's just a Coach Witt staple, honestly, and it's complementary football. Like I keep harping on that, right? Because that's the way you win games. That's the way you stay consistent, right? Like I've been on teams where we're super offensive heavy. I was just on one last year, and it doesn't matter just how good you are offensively if you can't go out there and play complementary football. It does not matter, right? Like if you look at all the really, really good teams, right, over the years, they're not super star-studded on one side of the ball, right? It's a consistent level of really good players all across in different aspects, right? And that's what Coach Witt has built just consistently over this 2-decade run, right? Just like continuously having complementary football. Like he stressed on special teams like ad nauseum. Like it's crazy how much he cares about special teams. But winning the special team battle, right, when you really break it down and look at it, it helps offense and defense, right? Like if I'm starting on the 45-yard line as offense, the chances of me scoring is high, right? Like it's going to be super high. And if they're starting on their 20, right, 25 every single time, the chance of them scoring is going to be real hard, right? You get to dictate the game just off of where the ball is at on the field, right? But our offense plays defense at the same time, not putting our defense on the field over and over and over and over again, where now you can probably see more of their struggles, right? Is huge at the same time. Controlling the clock, not turning the ball over, like having one of the best offensive lines in the nation, and having to do with their quarterback, one of the best at that. Like the attack is exactly what you want to see, and Beckett's done a really good job of just being complement to the defense. Him and Scally are on a really good page because people got to look at it at that side too. It's like, yes, the players are playing it physically, right? But the coaches are playing it mentally. Like these guys are preparing to go up against the other side, right, they have their own, battles mentally that they got to go ahead and get ready for and things of that nature. And they've done a really good job of just winning those battles so far this season. And like competition football is huge. Like if you don't have that, like last year, we didn't have no offense, right? Like defense was always really good, right? We still had a good team if you really think about it, but we didn't have the offense, the firepower just to stay complement to our defense, right? Like it's like having 10 steaks and you only got enough to season maybe 3, right? Like somebody's gonna miss out on some flavor when they eat this steak, but it's like, what are you gonna do? But like, so it's a huge thing. It's like when you look at it and you break football down, like just figure out a way to look at it from that perspective. It's like, okay, how these guys complement each other, right?
Yeah,
and right now we have a really good blend.
You talk about that complementary football, and I mean, Utah, if they had even a 5% more capable offense last year,
Yeah,
it's crazy that Utah was probably in the Big 12 championship game with just a subtle improvement on offense, right? Derek, sorry, man, go ahead.
No, you're good, man. I love what Zach said because your greatest defense is a offense that is on the field. And when the offense is on the field, something that I called out on my post last night was that they played an extremely clean game. Zach highlighted it. When you do not turn the ball over, that creates momentum for you and your team. And so instead of these drive killers, not to always hark back to Texas Tech, that gives us PTSD, but just in reference of it, what happens in the game like that? We stop our own drives. We commit mistakes. We fumble the ball in critical spots. We get penalties in critical moments. The team did a fantastic job, and I think that needs to be seriously commended by the team as a whole. To Alex, your point of the defense, let's give their flowers for last night because that secondary, as an offensive lineman, I was sitting there like, dang, these boys are playing well. And, that's probably the last place that I look to really dissect how they're playing. And it was just awesome to see Smith Snowden go up and really take it to Tyson on the edges and win that one-on-one battle so many times. Jordan Tyson's a great player, but we kept him contained for the most part. And when we took that away from them, and kept their running in check, we did very well. And so I thought as a whole, defense played extremely well. They bended without breaking. And they did it just enough because of field position, like Zach said, to where they let Arizona make the mistake themselves, or excuse me, Arizona State make the mistake themselves to end drives at times. And so, probably the one thing that I'm curious your guys' take on that I did see, and I'm sure it was because of, some inclement weather, was there was some missed tackles on the edges. Their running back, Ray Leak, is really shifty. You can't take that away from that dude. He made guys miss. And when he's wet, that probably is very hard to bring down. But I am definitely interested to see how we clean that up going into next week, because I think that's going to be a key part in how we're defending BYU with a dynamic running quarterback of their own that is shifty, that knows how to, get loose in space. And so that's probably my only, area of improvement that I'm looking forward to seeing from the defense.
Yeah, they did an awesome job. The DBs look really, really good. And you can tell they took it personal going up against Tyson.
40 yards.
They gave him opportunities. Like Tyson had a lot of opportunities to make some plays. And yeah, some of it you can look at it just from the grand scheme of things, right? It's timing with this new quarterback, right? And that's not the guy he's been catching the ball from a lot, whatever. But every DB who lined up in front of him, like I could see their reactions, right? It wasn't like they were like, wiping their head across their forehead when he dropped the ball or the ball was like misthrown or they made a play on the ball. It wasn't like they were like kind of like, all right, cool. No, like they were attacking. Like Snowden, every time he made a play, he looked to their sideline. Like the energy, right, was there. Like these guys were up for the challenge. They knew what type of caliber player they had coming in there. They knew he was going to get a lot of opportunities to make some plays. Even Snowden missed the one tackle on the jet sweep to him. That's a hard tackle. That's like 30 yards of space going laterally. You got to make that play, but that's hard. But outside of that, like there was no highlights for Arizona State. Like there was nothing they can do outside of a few little scrambles and things like that. But like I said, like these guys, they just came ready mentally. They were really, really locked in. And this is good because, like you said, they didn't really have many things to take away from them that you were like nervous about, right? Like outside of a few missed tackles and things like that, which is huge because now going into the Holy War, like, you know, it's great to be sitting here right now and being like, well, we haven't really got much to say negative, right? Or nitpick at anything. It's like, that's good when you're going into this type of a game and you're going on the road for this one. You got to travel down there. These guys look like they're ready. These guys look like they're ready. And we have so many new transfers for guys that are going to be the ones going to make these plays and go play on this field that you don't understand that rivalry until you get in it, right? And you don't want to understand that rivalry and be on the losing side of that rivalry. You want to be able to be on the winning side and kind of just learn as you go. So I'm super excited for this upcoming week, not to get too far ahead, but I'm super excited just to see how the new guys transfers, right? How they handle this, because a lot of guys from out of state probably have never heard of it, right? Like you hear of like Texas and Oklahoma, like what just happened yesterday, Bama and Auburn, or Georgia, Auburn, Florida, whatever, like those type of ones, right? Like just the super broadcasted ones all the time, year after year after year. But this is one of the best ones that's right up there. And I've come to appreciate it because I've played in it. Before playing in it,
to them either.
yeah, like before playing in it, like I'd never heard of it, right? And then like when I got into it in 16, I didn't even really understand the impact of it. Still, like playing in it, didn't understand the impact. It wasn't until 17 where I was like, oh shit, like you probably shouldn't lose this game. You probably shouldn't lose this game, because a lot of Utah fans, like the first thing they hit you with is the Utah versus BYU. Like it's like, oh, you never lost to those guys. Like that's the first thing. Doesn't really matter about like anything else almost. It's like all that other stuff is like second tier to this game. So like for me, it's like just listening to that and like understanding like, okay, we got a lot of new transfer guys coming in. Like this is a huge game, and it's not at Rice Eccles. It's right. It's down there, which is a whole different beast, which I'm excited to see for sure.
Dude, we could. It's so easy to just want to go and just start diving into that. Which it's going to be fun on the 48-hour rule, man.
Yeah.
Dude, we gotta try to stick to Arizona State a little bit, right? Because we gotta let your boy get to his tumbling class, right? But dude, no, I agree with you on all of that. And dude, this the podcast this week are gonna be fun. So, and again, fair warning, people are clipping stuff now. So I know we're gonna get clipped. What's that, Eric?
I said clip away this week.
So you were talking about Smith Snowden, okay? And one thing I kind of want to draw back to is in the 48-hour rule that we did this week for the leading up to the game. You know, you just kind of mentioned that there's no superstars in Utah's secondary. You know, I'm always going to take your analysis and your judgment on that. The one thing I did bring up is just the fact that like Smith is up there. He's just not getting mentioned a lot, because to me that says a lot about the job that he's doing, that he's not getting mentioned. Obviously, he went up against somebody like Jordan Tyson. Okay, he had, I want to say it was 11 targets, 8 receptions, 11 targets, only 40 yards. It wasn't Smith the entire time on him, but when Smith was on him, he showed out. What does a game like this do for somebody like, you know, granted, Snowden's a junior, right? But I know if all goes well, anybody would love to be out after their junior year, right? Because that means they're going to be a higher pick. What did a game like that do for Snowden to be able to show on his highlights going forward with NFL scouts?
I mean, this was a big game for him, and I think his energy also shown that he knew what type of, because we talked about it. Tyson has first round talent, second round talent. He can play on Sundays and do some things. If you just watch his highlights before this game, right? Like if you just watching, like this guy can do some things, right? Yeah. But for me, I think Snowden is definitely a star, right? When I refrain from like just tagging people with superstars just left and right, because we've seen like a Jalen Johnson. Like Jalen Johnson was a superstar when he was there. Like me and him were locker mates, and I saw this dude from year 1 to year 3, like just the way he attacked everything mentally, like from school. Like the dude graduated in 3 years. Like he knew that he was out of there in 3. Like he wasn't coming in, like no, he was like from day 1, I'm out of here in 3 years, right? And like that guy was like, and he had people talking about him and things of that nature. Even when he wasn't getting targeted, right? I think for Snowden, it's different in the sense of even like a Clark Phillips, right? Like Clark made a lot of interceptions, so did Jalen. I mean, guys like even like a Julian Blackman, just like they had like the interceptions a lot.
Yeah.
I think Snowden hasn't had the ton of interceptions, which is why he doesn't get the probably like so many people talking about him. But everybody knows this dude is locked down. Like I watched him, and I've continuously watched him throughout this year, because last year I didn't really pay too much attention to the defense because I'm an offensive guy. But this year I've been a little bit more, all around, more balanced on watching the team and just seeing different guys. And, I understood why Snowden had so much hype and, a lot of people talking, really, really good about his game from last year. And I've seen it. And I got the chance to just, say what's up to him last night as well. And the first thing I noticed was, his stature. Like he's a little bit longer limb, but still in a smaller frame for a DB. Like, what is he? Probably like 180, 185, somewhere around there. Like he's in a smaller frame of a corner. And I think for him, mainly what's going to, when you turn on his tape, he's fundamentally sound. He's right where he's supposed to be. He doesn't bust coverages, right? He's coached by one of the best coaches in college football on the defense side of the ball for a very, very long time. Like, Coach Scally and Coach Witt, like these guys have a lot of respect in the NFL side of things when they're, when these teams are picking guys, specifically on the defensive side of things, right? So he won't have to worry about a lot of that type of stuff. I did mention, obviously, he missed the tackle on Tyson on the in the goal line area, and that's the thing that's probably going to show up from just stature wise, right? And the main thing for him is going to be what he does in the combine. Like that's going to be, if he does decide to come out this year, right? It's going to be pro day, combine. Like what is he running 40? What's his vertical jump? Different things like that, athleticism wise, that can outshine his size, right? Now, is it a huge thing, his size? No, but it is something that NFL people are just going to look at when you're asking, if you're going to pick him in the first, second, third round, right? Because you're asking that guy to be essentially a day one starter, day one early contributor. And you got to be able to make tackles in that league for sure, not just cover. But outside of that, I mean, he has the film. He has everything that you kind of would want in a player. He has the leadership. He's obviously one of those leaders on that team, that people really get behind and listen to, and and he does everything the right way and things of that nature. So I think for him, it's just going to be, what the combine looks like that can outshine some of his smaller physique. But he is a hell of a player. He's right up there with some of the better DBs that the school has had for sure.
Sure. So starting to wind down a little bit here. Derek, I know we started kind of talking about this a little bit, and then you asked Zach a question. The trenches. Utah dominated last night. What were some of the things that you saw with it offensively and defensively, and maybe some stuff that should be some good signs going forward? I mean, Utah got some guys back. Who knows how healthy they were on the defensive side of the ball, because knowing what some of those were, and it's probably going to be stuff that they're just battling with here and there, off and on throughout the season, but. The depth is there. I don't even know. And so correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't really seem like Utah brought a ton of pressure last night, but at the same time too, when they brought it, it was a guaranteed sack.
Yeah, they weren't pinning their ears back every single play. They were kind of letting things play out and flowing to the ball a little bit more on defense, which I thought was a great call. I mean, just to briefly touch on the defense side, obviously they've been battling with injuries, like you said. The thing with the defensive line that I've seen throughout the season that I'll expect it going forward is that they're next man up, bend but don't break. They're going to find a way to get it done. And if that is the product of what we get from a banged up defensive line, I will take that 10 out of 10 times. Offensively, kudos to the offensive line for another stellar, showing. Devon Dampier, there's nothing that he couldn't do to stand back there when he was throwing. There was little to no pressure on him. Arizona State runs a lot of blitz games, just like West Virginia. They do a lot of twists, and the offensive line picked it up very well, gave him ample time, and came off the ball and really dictated the line of scrimmage. You do those things, you don't make mistakes. I don't think there was a holding call on the offensive line. I could be wrong, but there was nothing of that. And if you can just be in pure dominance like that, you're going to do great things. And so really excited because a couple things going into, and this isn't to talk about BYU, but heading into next week, from our perspective, I would love to see how we're going to continue to be clean on the offensive line from that perspective of keeping our emotions in check, going after playing physical, but avoiding, the yellow flags. But just in wrapping that all up with a bow, amazing week on both sides of the trenches.
So kicking back to Utah's defensive line, all right? Hey, Utah doesn't need Keanu Tanavasa, right? I'm not gonna put you guys through that right now. I'm not gonna put you guys through that right now. But hey, what I will say is, Utah's defensive line depth, the defense tackle depth has shown through, even with the injuries, right? It's a solid group, and Utah is looking good, right? So we'll save the playing with Cougar emotions for a few days from now.
So. I think he is out for the first half of next game.
Yes, he got targeting. I didn't see the call, but oh man.
Well,
we'll just.
I mean, he'll have a great view for the first half. He'll have a great seat. Best to him this week.
Oh boy, yeah, fun times, guys, fun times. Hey, so got a couple minutes here. Closing thoughts from each of you guys on this game and just the general part of going forward. We'll obviously talk about and dive into the BYU stuff in the next day or two here, but just closing thoughts and any general thoughts going forward.
Yeah, it was an awesome showing. I think with all the different things that played before even stepping on the field, with the weather and the different challenges, all that presented, coming out of a bye week, these guys really, really, stepped into the plate and just knocked things out of the park. The coaching staff was ready to go. They were dialed in, and it was flawless from the scheme standpoint of things, right? Like, and it showed on the field. Like, I don't think we had any offensive penalties. Maybe we did, but I can't think of one or two of them, right, just off the top of my head. And that's always a good thing when you can do that, right? And when you have a bye week, you know, they're not to get into the BYU stuff, like we said, but like they're peaking at that stuff, right? Like they're peaking when you have a bye week because you have extra time now. Like you knock that game plan out of the way, right? You can peak and look and get a little head start, right, on this game. And you know, the way they dominated this game is like, okay, and coming out of the West Virginia game, like those are huge things to see a team bounce back after that Texas Tech loss. Like just seeing them bounce back and put up the numbers that they did, right? Like I wasn't really worried about this game being close because I just felt like they were just going to come out and just our run game is really, really good. And to see it, one thing you can take on the road is run game. Like that's the oldest time tell, right? Like the one thing you can take that travels well is a run game. And we have that. And obviously it's not going to be easy because it's a rivalry game. So guys get up for it. There's all the rankings, all that type of stuff goes out of the window. Like all the stats and what these people ranked over here, all that stuff goes out of the window when you have rivalry games, right? So this is going to be a good old bloodbath of who wants it more, right? And it's going to be a hostile environment, but it gives me a lot of confidence. It's probably the first week where I'm not worried about the product that the guys have put on the field. You know, I think coming out of a bye week, doing what they did last night, now having even more time to now look at that tape and see how they want to attack BYU. You know, I have a lot of confidence going into this Holy War for sure.
Yeah, I think Zach summed it up perfectly. Kudos to the coaching staff and the team for how they handled bye week, coming out as strong as they did, and really stringing together 3 excellent weeks with a bye week included in that, with 2 games following, you know, a tough loss. Something that I think is a pivotal point in their season that, you know, depending upon how things go, it could be something that they could look back on and really see, you know, a change because of that. And it could work out to be a positive. So excited for the week ahead. Yeah, let's get to it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You know, you guys said it. Utah responded exactly how you would hope a team would respond after a loss. You know, these last bunch of weeks, West Virginia leading into bye, leading into Arizona State, they responded exceptionally, especially after a bye, going into a game against a ranked team that also had a bye too. You know, granted they had their situation with Leavitt, right? But Kyle even said it. You know, similar quarterbacks, they didn't have to change the game plan. You know, and Arizona State immediately went to trying to throw the ball deep downfield, right? Figured out fast it wasn't going to work. So, yeah, you know, Utah is roaring on all cylinders. BYU is too. So I'm going to look really forward to talking about this game over the next couple days for this coming weekend. And it's going to be a fun holy war. Lots of reasons for both sides to get excited. And, you know, again, we could just keep rambling on and wanting to talk about BYU. All 3 of us want to talk about BYU, right? But we'll save it. I'll jump on the phone with you guys in the next little while here. I got kind of a fun little idea I want to do for the next 48-hour rule. So see what you guys are thinking as well. But Zach, as always, man, how do we close these things out?
Yeah. Well, you guys definitely don't want to miss this next 48-hour. It's going to be a real good one. But so make sure you guys continue to like, subscribe, share with your friends, man. This is the best place to get all your Utah information. So continue to keep rocking with us, and we appreciate it. Go Utes.
Appreciate you guys. We'll talk soon.
Later, y'all.
Welcome to the players' lounge. Yeah, when all the moment, man, it can't compare.